My name is Diane Coleman, and I'm the founder, president, and CEO of Not Dead Yet, a national grassroots disability rights organization that formed in 1996 to educate, organize, and give voice to disability opposition to assisted suicide laws. We're named after a running gag in the movie Monty Python and the Holy Grail. About 10 years ago, I was in an emergency room for a respiratory problem and had an x-ray of my lungs that had a shadow on it which they thought could be cancer. It wasn't, but the doctor asked if I would want to be treated for cancer, as though I might not think it was worth it to save my life. It was scary, and I doubted he would have asked the same question of a non-disabled woman. NDY also opposes the involuntary withholding of life-sustaining medical treatment, often based on quality of life judgments. We oppose futility policies that give healthcare providers the power to overrule a disabled person's decision or their surrogates to continue life-sustaining treatment. In NDY's early years, 500 of us rallied at the US Supreme Court and helped prevent assisted suicide from becoming a constitutional right. We held actions in the late 90s to ensure that Dr. Kevorkian went to prison after assisting the suicides of scores of disabled people. Over the years, we filed friend of the court briefs and worked to educate activists around the country who can speak up in their communities. We publish a blog at www.notdeadyet.org and often appear in mainstream press on these issues. We work with a small staff and a large network of disability groups and activists across the country. At their core, NDY issues are ADA issues concerning discrimination by healthcare providers who deny us equal medical treatment because of judgments about our quality of life. COVID-19 and the hospital triage policies that we now face have brought the blatant medical devaluation of our lives into focus in a way we haven't seen before. We must use the ADA to save lives. People with disabilities are not willing to die for the profits or prejudice of the healthcare system. We reject the idea that we're better off dead than disabled, and we reject the idea that society is better off without us. Now let me turn it over to Anita Cameron.
Hello, I'm Anita Cameron, Director of Minority Outreach for Not Dead Yet. Assisted suicide laws say it's only for terminal people with 6 months or less to live, but doctors make mistakes. In June 2009, while living in Washington State, my mother was determined to be in the final stages of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and placed in hospice. My mother wanted to go home to Colorado to die, so the arrangements were made. A funny thing happened though. Once she got there, her health began to improve. 11 years later, she's still alive, lives in her own home in the community, and is reasonably active. My mother's case showed me that doctors could be wrong. It frightened me to think that at any time when she was in Washington State, she could have asked for the suicide drugs and she would have gotten them because she was deemed to be terminal when in fact she wasn't. Michael Hickson's case is a clear case of discrimination against disabled people. Michael Hickson was a 46-year-old Black man from Texas, the father of 5 children. Mr. Hickson was a quadriplegic, the result of a brain injury caused by a heart attack. He was placed in a nursing home where he contracted COVID-19. However, due to his disability, the doctor decided not to treat him, stating that he had no quality of life. but family videos show him laughing and singing with his wife and children. He was placed in hospice and allowed to die. COVID-19 has laid bare racial disparities and disability discrimination in healthcare that leads to medical rationing and futility decisions. Most COVID-19 deaths in the Black community have been traced to pre-existing conditions like diabetes, cancer, and heart conditions known to be examples where Blacks receive inferior treatment compared to whites. The ADA is turning 30. Disabled activists are now using it to save lives and end discrimination in healthcare. Now, I'll turn it over to John Kelly.
Hi, I'm John Kelly, Not Dead Yet's New England Regional Director. A 1984 spinal cord injury left me what people call paralyzed from the neck down. People told me directly that they would rather be dead than like me. Movies show characters with my disability demanding death. My own father wished I died in my accident. When I was hospitalized 2 years ago with pneumonia, the doctor queried my brothers on the deadly topic of quality of life. Black quadriplegic Michael Hickson's doctor justified not treating Michael for COVID by saying, quote, his quality of life, he doesn't have much of one. COVID-19 exposes that better dead than disabled mindset, with people falsely dividing society between a non-disabled us and a vulnerable them, who can be vilified as weak and denied ventilators and hospital beds. Systemic racism means Black and brown people die disproportionately. Not Dead Yet fights against assisted suicide because first, insurer bottom line. Last year, friends Carrie Ann Lucas and Bill Peace died after insurer United Health refused to cover slightly more expensive but life-saving treatments. Insurers have denied prescribed treatments but offered to cover assisted suicide. Second, abuse. My fiercely independent grandmother starved herself to death to escape nursing home abuse. Today, 40% of all COVID-19 deaths come from nursing homes. At home, nothing in the law can stop an error or abusive caregiver from steering someone to assisted suicide, witnessing the request, picking up the lethal dose, and even administering it. No witnesses are required at the death, so who would know? Third, misdiagnosis. Thousands of Americans graduate hospice yearly, and 12 to 15% of people diagnosed with 6 months or fewer to live outlive their prognoses, sometimes by decades. And fourth, the end-of-life concerns reported in Oregon and elsewhere deal with reactions to disability, distress and shame over dependence on others, lost abilities and dignity, feeling like a burden, and incontinence. Not Dead Yet says, we don't need to die to have dignity. We find meaning in personal connection and mutual aid. And we do have demands. When we are depressed, we demand the same access to suicide prevention services as everyone else. When we need assistance, funded home care. When we need medical care, we get it. When we need an accessible home, our own homes, not nursing homes. When we are ready to work, job opportunities. And we deserve and we demand for year-round the same love and solidarity shown this week. Happy birthday, ADA.